A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
Alright, let's go back to Scotland Yard and ask about the bankruptcy, because that seems like something to do.
Oh, you're not ready to, like, get extreme with the big harpooning minigame? It's basically like a Wii Sports minigame.
Yeah, you got like a power bar, and if you go over, like, you trip and someone dies. We killed 16 people in investigating the murder of this one man.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
No, I wasn't.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and
what
Peter
if
Carey
Peter
both
Carey is
seen
actually
in
Joshua
There is
Nelligan?
definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan.
Dun dun dun! Wait,
That's
so
where
that
I'm
would
going
mean that
right now with this.
the kid broke into his dad's shed?
Maybe he confronted him, but that still doesn't explain how he got impaled by a harpoon into a wall.
Well, fortunately, we're working on that.
I mean, this
Gotta
this
go back
happened
to
in
the
London,
crime
right?
scenes.
Who carries a harpoon around London?
Oh,
Well, it was in the gardener's
Josh,
shack, because
you
that's
don't wanna
what you
go-
do with harpoons.
You don't want to go to the crime scene. That's a crime harpoon. Oh wait, actually, did they have non-crime harpoons at the crime scene?
There
I
was
think
one
by
on the wall.
definition.
Okay.
Oh, you were serious.
No, there was just the one harpoon. Yeah, here we go.
That should do it.
Okay, yeah.
The one
for some
labeled
reason, I
used for
remember-
crime.
I should have looked it up, but for some reason, I thought that you had to get a harpoon from your office. Seems like the sort of thing you'd have lying around. All right,
That is
now
something
we've got.
that Sherlock would have in his house.
So, as Josh, you're into history. How into actual forensics were they at the time?
No.
I don't. Really
And I don't
know
mean the
that
science.
much about.
Like, I mean, like their belief in deductive reasoning and scientific process, rather than like.
Well, this
they didn't have an
I mean,
NCIS.
No, this is.
Not quite. I do actually know a few things about this period's methods. I will say that there are more scientific methods than you'd think, in like with regards to autopsy and murder investigation in history. Even in the 17th century in France, if someone was poisoned, they'd cut him open to see what killed him, and if like their liver looked weird, they'd poison some chickens to see if they could get the same looking liver.
I can't mouse around to throw one at Watson.
Yep, and here's the Wii Sports minigame where you have to throw harpoons.
Oh my god, it is.
Oh lord.
The body.
Nice.
Is this the same?
Didn't that feel satisfying?
Is this the same Watson's franchise that gave us Creepy Watson?
Yeah, it is, but they patched it out.
Oh,
Which just sucks.
Holmes,
He
you should
walks
try
now.
to aim better and throw as hard as you can.
Okay,
I was
so my
really
problem with this is, what if the harpoon wasn't thrown but used as a spear?
Well, that's the point of the experiment, Josh.
Is that it okay, so I got... did we get
The
it?
harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient...
I can't tell if I'm failing, or if, like, this is just, like, reiterating that... No, okay, there we go.
Yeah. You did quite... There you go, though.
We're doing Mythbusters here.
This is the best possible result that I could get.
Yep.
Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical...
I honestly, like...
If it was
That does not look realistic, throwing a harpoon clear through a pig carcass.
Let us leave now.
Why not? I mean, you have to throw it into a whale with enough force that you can then control the whale.
I guess.
Very well.
But, like, you're cutting through, like,
Of course.
mostly flesh and blubber in that case. You gotta, like, get through skeletal stuff. Oh, wow, that didn't go very far at all. So, what did that tell us?
What did that tell us?
Am I able
That's actually up to you, Josh. You have to go into the thing and decide what that tells us.
Some of the facts may be interpreted differently. You can always change the picture of a crime by choosing between mutually exclusive deductions.
That's what I was talking about. So you gotta decide which of these seems more likely based on your current understanding of the facts. You can always go back and change it.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, so that's not like go back and do the deduction thing again. It's like, okay. I do not think Lucky Throw makes sense. And we found those
make your
big
educated
boots.
guess. Now you can always click on it again and change your answer.
Right.
But so if you have like certain nodes, depending on which one you currently have selected, other possibilities might appear because you have that synthesis going. So if you ever reach a point where you think you found everything, like it may be that you have to like go back and change some of your assumptions because they're not providing you anything new to work with.
Right.
But mostly, those are like those are just your best guess.
Imagine if this were an actual AAA game, though, and they... Of course, it would be turned into an open-world game, because why not? So you'd have Sherlock
It would
Holmes
be so
murdering
bad.
people in the streets by accident.
Oh, man, that would be terrible. Oh, look, I respect what Team Bondi did with, creating an entire Los Angeles. It was decadent. But it was not worth $10 billion. It was not worth $10 billion.
Yeah.
And also, it was a pain in the ass, so I never drove anywhere. I just made my partner drive me to every crime scene.
Will Wright, sailor.
Log notes for
What has Will Wright been up to lately?
Nothing special.
I mean, he retired like 15 years ago.
Yeah, but nobody stays retired when their name is put on things.
I'm gonna have to look up latitude and longitude things to figure out where he was in July.
Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Log notes for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. A torn piece from a bond certificate.
Yeah, okay.
Seen this
Yeah, the last project Will Wright was assigned to was Spore.
There are three ways.
You know what? I can actually see it. I can see why, you'd make Spore and then you'd get out.
Peace.
Require speaking with a
I almost stopped playing
the
games
last
after Spore.
would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign.
I think everybody, in all seriousness, knows at least one person that really enjoyed Spore.
Task for Wiggins. Who's Wiggins?
Good question. Oh, Wiggins. He's a Baker Street regular. So, for anybody who missed my incredibly dark joke earlier, the Baker Street Irregulars are a bunch of, like, urban poor that Sherlock Holmes pays out for piecework to do his surveillance and his errands.
These are account numbers.
It's honestly kind of not awesome.
A network of street urchins?
Yeah, basically.
So CPR was one of the abbreviations on the note. That's a bunch of 12-digit codes. Anything else is cool around here I need to check out? No.
You know what this is making me miss? Modern cell phones where we could just take pictures of the crime scene and never come back.
Yeah. It does seem like this game, like, runs into a bit of, like, hopping between a lot of different locations in ways that you would not see in a book or television show.
Yeah, but, you know, I didn't mind it. I think it felt reasonably detective-y.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a TV show. It feels like you keep going back to the scene of the crime and then to the prison and then to your house. Like, there's just sets. It's kind of like a Law & Order episode.
It also really, like, gets across that Sherlock Holmes has fuck all to do all day except this.
Who funds Sherlock Holmes? Is he independently wealthy, or does he, like, charge the state?
That's a good question. I think technically he gets paid, but the thing is, it seems pretty clear at a certain point that he just has, his family has money, and he just kind of coasts off of that. This was an era where it was okay to just be rich. In fact, it was the best thing if you were just rich. If you just had land that paid out and you didn't do shit.
And really, I would prefer
like that was in vogue.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him.
So we're coming up on an hour here. Let's meet up with these.
He's got a hound.
Wiggins, yep. In fact, I think there's an achievement for talking to that hound in every chapter.
At your service, Mr.
Is it from the Baskervilles?
I need you to track down certain people.
What is going on with that guy's chin?
Oh, I thought that was just the stream. I have no idea.
No, that was weird.
His father is the coachman of
you know, Holmes should ask, what's wrong with your chin? Or urchin. I should have pronounced that better.
God damn it, Chris.
God, that would have been really good.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
So I guess that's...
Want to call that a week?
No, let's go see what Lestrade has to say, then we'll call it a week.
Okay, sounds good.
So what is the relationship between Lestrade and Holmes in the original stories?
It's like... It's not like a balls-out rivalry. Lestrade is kind of salty, but, you know, he also respects what Holmes does for the department. He's just kind of like, you know, I just want to show you that I don't need you this time.
What happened?
We have a new suspect.
But they're not, like, as pissy as they are in the Robert Downey Jr. movie.
Resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well,
so,
he's a proud guy.
Who is driving Holmes? We never see Watson with him. Does he make Watson drive the carriage?
Do you have him here?
Oh yeah.
I believe they get a cab.
He refuses
oh
to
no,
speak
Watson
with us.
drives for sure.
We'll make him talk.
It's one of the street urchins. No, it's Watson. Watson is in control of the carriage being led by the street urchin.
I believe several
Obviously,
camera
it's a
angles.
pig carcass.
If you're going somewhere with Watson,
has to
the
sit
camera
in the back.
Of course.
If you're going somewhere with Watson, the camera does show Watson in the carriage with you.
Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking.
Okay, I missed some
See,
of that
that's pretty
dialogue.
accurate. Okay.
Would you rather live on Baker Street or Bleecker Street?
What's Bleecker Street?
That's where Doctor Strange lived. Both Benedict Cumberbatch roles.
These are the suspect's belongings.
So these boots look bigger.
On the one hand, I do like magic.
They're a size 9.5.
On the other hand, I do like to drink the night away and forget about everything.
The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals.
How much of that is alcohol and how much of that is opium?
Da 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 da.
I mean, like, Holmes used a lot of opium, right? Like, that's not really up for debate.
He did, yes. Actually, he injected himself with, I think, just straight up heroin.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Did he get it from the urchins? Because that's dark.
Escort this suspect
I think you could just get it with a prescription, actually.
Oh, that's right.
I think,
This is the
like,
1800s.
for rich people.
Yeah,
it's
this is the 1890s, Chris. You can get opium pretty easily.
I've already told the police that I've nothing to say. And you're not even part of the police.
Precisely. And considering
got a
your
really good point.
situation, it might be wise to speak with someone who is, shall we say, rather more neutral.
So Holmes is not. So don't listen to this if anybody tells you this in a crime scene investigation room. But Holmes is not just blowing smoke out his ass. He is not on the side of the cops.
What happened
Technically,
brought here.
and in several very real practical senses.
Hurtley. That I can tell you. But you're not getting any more than that.
Well,
So I do love the episodic nature of this. It's one of the things I loved about Alan Wake too, and Walking Dead, and anything like any game that manages to break their gameplay down into like 2 or 3 hour chunks where like I could just choose on a random day to sit down and play for a while and feel like I made progress and get a complete narrative. I love that. I love it. Give me episodic gameplay
the
over.
crested tit.
It's the same thing that was on the book in the beginning of the game.
This guy's the gardener. And I think he was probably having an affair with what's-his-face's wife.
I very much
my
agree,
immediate
Chris.
assumption.
Especially since that way, if you find a piece of evidence, you don't have to remember it like 3 weeks later when you finally get halfway through.
Could you imagine if this game was a single, like, 18-hour experience full of mini-games and other shooting bits and other things while you're putting together a mystery?
I mean, yeah.
It bugs me with regular games, just, like, keeping track of, like, what plot has happened so far. So to be able to have, like, little narrative chunks is... I don't know why more games don't do episodic content, you know, by level or whatever.
Remember that time Valve did episodic content?
No, like that. Well, that's not really what I mean. I don't mean bad episodic content. I mean good episodic content.
Did you guys? Can anyone tell me? Random question. If Thorpe ever got patched out of like most of the problems with it?
These boots match the footprints exactly.
Wait, when what got patched out?
Thorpe. Did Thorpe ever get like a decent patch?
Oh, I mean, nothing fixes the structural problems. The narrative is still nonsense.
There's still plenty wrong with it. But, like, is it quite as glitchy?
I don't think they ever fixed the sound mixing, but it runs okay. Like, last time I messed with it, it was not a complete unplayable nightmare. But sound balance was still off, and all the structural and narrative problems were still there. But... I mean, it's one of those games, like, technically it's playable. It plays okay.
Does the name Liam Hurtley mean anything to you?
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
Well, that's not suspicious. All right, I think that's going to be our first week of Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. We're probably going to do... We're at least going to finish this case and probably do one or two more. I don't think we'll do the whole game, but they appear to be some form of pumpkin, yes.
Yay, pumpkins!
And cabbages.
I want Halloween to come.
We are like...
Why is there a boat there?
Very far away from Halloween, Chris. He was a...
Look forward to something sooner.
He was a sailor. This is his boat for when the world floods.
In the 1870s, London actually used to flood periodically. That's why they have all those tall buildings.
I did not know that. I did not know you were messing with.
He's pulling your shit. It's not even remotely true. Why would tall buildings make a difference in a flood?
They're right next to the Tim. I figured there could be floods. I don't know history.